name is Miranda and today I'm here to review Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. I picked this one up because this is being turned into a movie later in the year. It's the second in the Kenneth Branagh adaptations. He previously did Murder on the Orient Express, which is also the only other Hercule Poirot book I've read. Did I say his name right? Probably not. But that's the only other one I've read, even though now I do want to read a bunch more. I just don't know where exactly to start because the movie adaptations are obviously out of order. Usually I just read the ones that are being adapted, but I want to read the best ones. So if you know which ones are really good, leave it down below in the comments so I know, because I really want to read another one next. I just don't know which one exactly. I might just go to the library or the bookstore and see whichever ones they have there and just grab those ones. But yeah, Death on the Nile is getting turned into a movie in October. I was not a big fan of the Murder on the Orient Express adaptation. I really like the book. I just feel like it didn't translate as well onto the screen. I feel like they were very much more style over sustenance. They kind of had it be all pretty and glamorous and all that, but then at the end of the day, I don't think the story and the characters were as fleshed out as they could be, and it also starred Johnny Depp, which just no thank you. So I'm a little nervous, I will say, for Death on the Nile, just because, again, I really, really loved the story and the book. I had not heard of it at all previously before, aside from, the little mention they did at the end of the Murder on the Orient Express movie where he's like, oh, we have to go to Egypt now, and then that's when you realize where the next one's gonna be. And it's super cool because of the location, the Egyptian setting and all that, I feel is very interesting and different from any of the other Agatha Christie books that I have personally read, so I enjoyed that. I do have to say though, just talking about the movie very quickly, we haven't seen the trailer or anything yet for it, so I mean this could all be, just not even something that I have to worry about, but looking up the cast, from who they have named, not super pumped. I will say they aged Lynette up, which honestly fine, whatever, because she's also Simon is age appropriate. It's gonna be Wonder Woman, which is gonna be so awesome to see her. And then I just feel the whole love triangle that I have going on with Simon, Jacqueline, and Gal, Lynette, it's gonna be quite weird because Jacqueline is being played by Emma from Sex Education, the girl who plays Maeve, which I love her, don't get me wrong, but I just feel she is a little bit younger than Armie Hammer, Originally, I believe Jodie Comer was supposed to play her from Killing Eve, and I feel that makes a little more sense because while she is still younger, she's a little bit older, so I feel she would fit more well. I just don't want it to look like he's literally dating someone that could be his daughter in the movie, because I just feel the age difference could be very weird, so that's one thing I'm concerned about. Second thing I'm concerned about is that when you look at some of the characters, some of them, they haven't listed who the actors are playing yet, but then other ones are playing characters that aren't actually in the books. So I don't know if they're gonna be combining characters, since there are so many, there are so many people with F last names in this book. I was getting so confused. There's a Ferguson, there's a Fanthorpe, and then there's another F one, and I was like, what, can we pick another letter of the alphabet please? So I'm just kind of worried that they're making up these characters and they're not going to be as entertaining as the original characters from the book are, and that some of the characters that I really liked are not going to be there, so we'll see with that. The girl who plays Shuri though is going to be one of my favorite characters in the book. She's going to be Rosalie Otterman, which I'm really, really pumped for because I think she was such an amazing character and I love her so much. So I'm really excited to see that. And then Russell Brand is also in it, which I'm very concerned he's going to play Tim Allerton, because I'm just don't. There's a couple that I really love in this, and Tim is part of it, and I don't want it to be Russell Brand because that just will not work with the concept I have in my head. So that's my concerns for the movie. But moving on to the book, that was a lot of concerns, I realized. The book itself is so intriguing. It's split into two parts, which is basically England and then Egypt, and the England part you don't really realize till you get closer into the Egypt part is setting up pretty much everyone why they're going to Egypt, what their backstory is and their basically decision when they find out they're going to Egypt, which I found really, really interesting because as the book went on and you started to learn more secrets about these people, you could flip back and realize, okay, this is the undertone of what they were saying. I didn't realize this at the time, but this is what they meant by this. And I just feel that's a really great common thing about Agatha Christie's books, is that as you find stuff out, you realize more and more that you have to flip back, and that something you thought was innocuous and just kind of a thing that was happening while something else was happening was actually super important and way more crucial to the main plot than you actually thought. So I really, really like that. And like I said before, there were also some various side plots going on that tied well nicely into the main thing, because it was kind of your suspects that you had, all of them, their motives were kind of shown why, what was actually happening. We found out who it really was, and then before that it was kind of knocking off the suspects one by one, being okay, they didn't do this, but this instead was their thing. And I think it was just a really, really interesting way to do it because it made it so everyone was kind of involved in different ways. And I'm gonna get into spoilers now because I don't want to ruin it if you haven't seen the movie, even though I do feel like they're gonna change a lot of the movie. But just if you haven't read the book or don't want to be spoiled, you know, I feel that, just be warned that spoilers are coming now. So one of the plots that I really enjoyed was the Tim and Rosalie, I still don't know how you say her name, but that whole plot, I thought that was very, very interesting, how she was covering for him because she saw him come out of Lynette's cabin that night that she was murdered, and she was very, like, strong in saying that I'm not going to say who it is because then it's probably they're going to assume it's Tim, and she knew that it wasn't Tim, like, in her heart, because she loved him, and I just thought it was really cute, but also a really nice way to tie in his whole story of he was kind of a jewel thief, this person that would sneak in and then swap out real jewels for fake ones that were really impressive looking, and it just kind of made his story a little more interesting, but also, like, you saw, like, Poirot being, like, a good guy by being like, you know, like, I haven't checked for the pearls yet, so if they somehow find their way back to my cabin and, like, I have no proof, Rosalie says she didn't see anyone, so, like, I have no proof if they just go back, and then he, like, let them have a happy ending. I thought that was really, really sweet, but then the whole main plot was just absolutely fascinating the way they set it up, how it seemed like the two suspects that you could automatically cross off the list because they had pretty airtight alibis for the night actually turned out to be the ones that went through with this whole thing. The thing I struggled with in this is that I didn't feel much sympathy for Jacqueline with what she was doing afterwards. Like, obviously that Lynette took Simon, even though she didn't really take Simon, we found out he was kind of let himself be taken in this plot. I felt bad about that. But everything after, like how she came up with the plan, she was the mastermind for this. Like, yeah, Simon was like the one that was like, I want to do this. But Jacqueline was like, I knew that like he'd get caught right away. Like, I had to come up with a good plan that would work. And like this plan was diabolical. So like she really is like a mastermind. And I feel like Poirot had a lot more sympathy for her than I did, even after finding out about everything that happened. Because he said like she loves too much and that's like her Achilles heel, you know. I just felt like she was a lot more cunning and you could see it, and I think Poirot knew it, but he still was kind of sympathetic to her in a way that I just wasn't, because it was like she's ruined so many lives in this one little plot that isn't, I don't think the crime justifies what Lynette did, you know what I mean? So I feel like that was just something that I really struggled with. I think we're supposed to find her sympathetic and I just didn't. So that was kind of one struggle. But I did like how he solved it and how all the pieces started to come together and how there were kind of like these mini little mysteries that were kind of used to throw you off guard. But just the way of having an alibi that seemed so airtight that turned out to not be what it was, I think is terrifying. And the fact that like they were able to come up with that, Jacqueline and Simon, well, we all know it was just Jacqueline, was pretty impressive. So I'm really interested to see it on the big screen, because I think reading it you were kind of like, wait, who is it gonna be? Like, you're getting towards the end, you're like, what is, like, how is this all gonna wrap up? And then all the pieces kind of just finally click together, and you are like his friend Race, who's just like, what are we talking about? Like, Poirot's like, I've got it, and everyone's just like, okay, please feel free to share with us. So I really liked it. I liked the cast of characters. There was also a really cute girl who, I don't know if she'll be in the movie. She might be one of the ones that's kind of thrown to the side, because you could replace her easily with someone else is the thing if you wanted to, because her main thing is to be a witness for the alibi, and you could just swap that out for someone else easily. But I really liked her whole storyline where she had this guy who was just completely bullheaded propose to her, and then she ended up going for the kind doctor that treated her well and that really, you know, respected her and respected her intellect and her mind and all that. And I really liked that storyline. I think the description of like Egypt was beautiful, and the boat and everything just amazing, like I said. And Lynette was a very, very fascinating character. That's why I'm very sad that when Gal does play her, she's probably not going to be on that for long. I feel like they're going to have to set it up differently, because she is such like a big name that they'll have to have her on screen for longer. But I don't know if they'll really do that. I really, really enjoyed the book though. I think even more so than The Murder on the Orient Express, just because I think I enjoyed all of these characters in some form of way, whereas in Murder in the Orient Express there were some that I was like, okay, let's just get through this. So I would definitely give it 5 out of 5 stars. I'm so excited to read more in this series, but yeah, like I said, I don't really know where to go next, because I don't know what is being adapted next, and it's probably gonna be like another 5 years before it is. Also, if you have read the book or are looking forward to the movie adaptation and all that and have thoughts on it, please feel free to leave them down below in the comments. Also, make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!